If you're a teacher that takes advantage of blended learning or the flipped classroom, this is the perfect tool for you. We're going to talk today about EdPuzzle, and I'm going to show you how to use it in your classroom. So just what is EdPuzzle? Well, it's a tool that allows you to choose a video and customize it by trimming it down to the portion you need, by recording audio, and adding questions that the students need to answer while they're watching. This helps make it more engaging for the students and helps the teacher hold the students accountable for the learning. And the best part, it's free. The first thing you need to do is create an account. So go ahead and click the Teacher Start Now button, and it's going to take you to a page where you can take a virtual tour of what EdPuzzle has to offer. We're going to go ahead and skip that for now, and go ahead and log in with your Google account. Now that you're logged in, you'll see your home screen. Now, I already have classes created, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If you already use Google Classroom, it's super easy. All you have to do is click Import from Google Classroom, and it will pull up all of your classes that you've already created in Classroom. And when you import those, all of the students will come with it. If you don't use Google Classroom, it's still easy to connect your students. Up here in the right-hand corner, it says Import New Students. If I don't use Google Classroom, it'll say Connect Students. You click on that, and there'll be a join code, and the students will simply enter the join code when they log into EdPuzzle. So let's start by seeing what EdPuzzle has to offer. First, I'm going to go to the search bar, and my students are working on propaganda, so the first thing I can do is I can search for a video already on here that deals with propaganda. And what you're going to see is what comes up first are the videos that are already on EdPuzzle. These are videos that people have used previously and have been loaded into the library. So what you're going to notice is that the first 6 videos are all the same, and that's simply because people have used it in different ways. So if you see in the upper right hand corner, there is a red scissors. That shows that somebody has used this video but has cropped it down to a specific portion of the video that they wanted their kids to see. If it has a green question mark as well, you can look and you can see that someone has added questions to the video that the students will have to answer while they're watching the video. Let me show you what I mean. So if we play this video, let's fast forward a little bit. When we get to a question mark, the question will pop up. And here's the question. Now, if I were a student, I would have to answer this before moving on. Let's skip ahead, and you can see this one's a multiple choice question. Let's skip ahead one more time and see what this next question is. Oh, and you can see that, again, it's a multiple choice question, but it's a fill in the blank. So there are many different ways to kind of structure these questions, but this one's already created for me. So if this fits my needs, I can simply copy it. And that way it's going to be in my library and my content. Once it's in my content, I can click on there, and it's going to load all the videos I've saved and copied into my sort of personal folder and library. And if this is something I want my kids to use, I'm going to click on it, and then I can assign it. From here, I can assign it to all my classes if I wanted to. I can hit prevent skipping, which is what I do, which means the students have to watch the full video. And then you can also assign your due date, and that's up to you. Then you send it, and it would automatically go to all of your students once they log into EdPuzzle. But let's go back to the search bar. What I want to show you is that you can also search in other places other than EdPuzzle. So these are all the videos that people have already sort of uploaded into the EdPuzzle library, but you can also search YouTube, and it will pull YouTube videos that you can use to create your own EdPuzzle. And they have them for all kinds of different places like Vimeo, Crash Course, TED Talks, and Khan Academy. So really you have so many resources that you can create EdPuzzles for. You can also, if you've already found a video that you want to use, you can simply copy and paste the URL into the search bar and go right to that video, and it will pull it up for you to start creating your own EdPuzzle. And your first option when you start creating your EdPuzzle is to trim the video down. You can see that this video is over 14 minutes long. So if I didn't want my students to watch the entire thing, I could go ahead and I could pull out a very specific section of the video, or I could maybe cut it in half and assign them as 2 different assignments, the first half and the second half, to make it sort of more manageable chunks. Or maybe they need to watch the entire video for this assignment. I'm going to go ahead and leave it the entire 14 minutes because I feel like my students need to watch this whole video. And if you ever get stuck on a step when you're creating an EdPuzzle, like you forget how to trim the video, they have these handy dandy tutorials in the upper right hand corner where if you click Show Me How, it'll pull up a 30-second or a 1-minute video that teaches you exactly what you need to know in order to complete that step. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, which is the audio track. This is a really cool option because sometimes you're going to be talking about a diagram or a math problem and you want to be able to record audio and explain to your students what's going on. And this is where you would do it. To record the audio, you push the microphone and you begin speaking, and you can pause it and restart it by clicking the microphone again, but you have to record the audio throughout the entire video in order to save it. Since my video already has a lot of music and audio involved, I don't want to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this step and move on to the audio notes. This is a really cool feature, and it's a lot like the audio narration that you can include in the step beforehand, but this lets you move this around and you can record like an introduction or a conclusion or a remark at a specific point in the video, and you can position that to where you need it, and then you'd click the microphone and record your audio. But let's move on to this final step, and this is the step that's most important. These are the questions that you're going to include for your students to answer while they watch your video. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag this question mark to the point in the video you want to ask a question. So for me, it's right around 106 or 105, and I'm going to go ahead and position it there and click on the question mark. You can see I have a couple of options. I can type an open-ended question, I can give a multiple choice question, or I can simply just type a comment. I'm going to go ahead and ask an open-ended question, and I'm going to go ahead and ask my students, what is testimonial? Once I've typed my question, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And once I've done that, you're going to notice there's a green question mark at the top, and that's where my question is in the video. Let's go ahead and add another question. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Here's Justin Bieber. Let me ask a question about him. I'm going to make this one multiple choice. Let me see. What reason does Justin Bieber give for getting zits? So you can see they already have 2 options for the multiple choice. You can add a couple other choices, and let's go ahead and fill these in. He actually does give the reason that he holds the microphone up to his chin. That's my correct answer, so that's a green check mark. I can always change that if that's the wrong answer. And then we go ahead and we fill in our other answer choices as well. So you can see I filled in all my answer choices, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and I have another question in there. And I'm going to continue to do that throughout the video, and that way my students are watching the video and they're accountable and they're answering questions as they go, and they can't move forward until they answer the questions. Once I've finished inserting all of my questions, I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and then I'm going to click Finish. And I can assign it right away to my classes, or I can do that later, and you'll see that it shows up in your content. So here is my video that has the questions, and I'm ready to assign or share that whenever I need to. Let's go back to our home page. A really cool aspect of EdPuzzle is that you can see how your students are doing, either in real time or after they've finished their EdPuzzle. So let's take a look at what some of my students have done on a previous EdPuzzle. If I click on Progress, you're going to see a list of students. If they have a green check mark, it means they've watched the entire video. If they have a red X, it means they have not watched the video. They either haven't started or they haven't finished. And then you can also see they're like green, yellow, or sometimes red, and that shows you how well that they performed on that video. If you see that a student just did not do well, you can click the reset button and they'll have to re-watch the video and answer the questions again. This is on the homework view, but if I click in classroom, I can also look and see how much of the video they watched and what their responses were. And if I want to look more closely at a specific student, I can click on their name, and I can look at their questions and see what they answered to each question. Pretty cool, right? I can even see how many times they watched a specific portion of the video. So you can see that most of the time the student only had to watch the portion of the video 1 time to answer the question, but the first one he had watched 3 times, and the last one he had to watch twice, just to make sure he knew what the correct response was. EdPuzzle automatically grades the multiple choice questions for you, but it can't grade those open-ended responses. So The way you get to those is you click up here in the upper right hand corner the grade button, and it'll take you to those open responses. You can either check that it's correct or check that it's not, and then it'll automatically add it to the score that the student receives. So now that we've learned how to use EdPuzzle, let's talk about why we should use EdPuzzle. We know that blended learning increases student engagement in classrooms, that it's beneficial for students, and EdPuzzle helps us with that. The benefits of EdPuzzle are that you can embed the quizzes directly in the video. So if you are using a flipped classroom, the students can be watching the content at home and answering those questions, and they can be held accountable for knowing that information when they're doing it at home. You can track student progress through the online LMS, and you can add your own voice to any video, so you can walk them through the information you want them to learn. We've talked all about how a teacher can create an EdPuzzle in the classroom, but it can also be used by the students. How cool would it be to have a student watch a video and annotate that video by recording audio while they watch it? A totally different way to use EdPuzzle, but it would really engage the students and show you just how much they learned from that video. No matter how you use it, EdPuzzle is a great way to incorporate technology in the classroom. EdPuzzle is an easy way to incorporate blended learning or the flipped classroom into your teaching.